Hello guys, welcome back to Wandsworth Wanderlust. We were listening to James Brown. Who doesn't remember James Brown dancing? He was a fabulous dancer. He's actually one of the guys who inspired Michael Jackson. And I'm a big fan because I love dancing. What about you?
Yeah. Always getting up and boogieing on the dance floor. Bit old dad dancing.
Well, he died in 2006 and he was from California. No, Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina was okay. Yeah. So he loved dance, and someone that just joined us on the studio, I reckon she loved dancing as well. She's probably going to contradict me, but I'm pretty sure she's not, because I saw something on her blog. It's Flora, a freelance writer, traveler, and an avid volunteer, and she's got a blog called Flora Explore. And I remember when I went to an event. We talk about this event on this show, Traverse. I was sitting down next to two Australian bloggers, and when they mentioned Flora, who was that? And they thought, you don't know who is that? They were shocked. And today I'm going to ask you, Flora, who is Flora actually?
Essentially like an alter ego, I guess. But I've been travelling and writing about my travelling for the last 3.5 years at my site, and I've been travelling for much longer than that. At least the last decade, I think I've been intensively trying to see everything I possibly can. But yeah, the site in general, it's basically a place where I write about my travels, very long-term travelling and slow travel. I talk a lot about my volunteering experiences, and it's growing more and more into a community where people who want to volunteer and want to learn languages when they travel and want to get involved in the local culture and traditions and stuff. It's a great place for people to come and discuss all those kind of things.
How does your Spanish afterwards? So you avid volunteer and you travel. So you've been to Brazil, to Bolivia, to Kenya. How do you think this experience as a volunteer changed your personality?
I think volunteering is something really valuable when you're traveling. I know a lot of people who think it's a great idea in terms of what they get from it, but I think it's also great for the culture that you're in and the people that you're with. You learn a lot about a culture through volunteering, and you meet the people who are doing those projects on the ground, rather than just, I don't know, people working in hostels and people working in restaurants and stuff. Like, that's not necessarily a massive insight into the culture. If you work with kids in a country and teach them, or if you work in like a building site or something, you get more of an idea of the country, I think. And it's
very rewarding. I can
it really is.
See on your pictures, and the smile you have in that picture is like, it's priceless.
Big smile. Yeah.
It's always good to have a good smile.
This is true. Very true.
So how do you, when you travel to those countries, you don't know the language? I know you travel, you kind of combine traveling and languages learning. How do you combine them, and how do you think that learning a local language does help to be part of the group, of the community?
Well, I had done a lot of travel in countries that I didn't speak the language, and I always made sure I picked up the very basics, like, please and thank you and the numbers and just kind of normal communication. But I always felt that I really hadn't got as much as I could from those countries because I didn't speak the language. And I went to South America February 2013, and I knew I was going to be there for a long time. I bought an open-ended ticket. And I basically thought that it was a good idea to try and learn as much Spanish as I could and do it industriously rather than just trying to pick it up, actually try and learn it properly. And I left 18 months later and was as near to fluent as I think I'll ever be.
Wow.
And it did make a massive difference. I ended up having huge arguments with people in Cuba about machismo culture and sexism and how they treated women, and because they were really surprised that I spoke Spanish so well, and they weren't expecting it. And I think it's a really good way of learning more and getting more from a country.
I always say, whenever clients of mine go away, try and at least learn please, thank you, can I have a beer?
Definitely.
Because it gets you so much further with the locals, doesn't it? If they think that you are trying to make an effort, then they will make an effort back, even if you're getting it wrong. There's nothing worse than standing there going, "Could I please have a beer, please?" in English, at least not even trying it.
Definitely.
No, they say like some people, when they can't speak the language, they speak louder, and in order for people
and slower.
So I've got an advantage because I've got Nelvino here. He does all my translating for me.
Yeah, I will. So this is all about learning with locals and get the most that you can from those experiences. So you're learning, but you were teaching as well. What lessons did you learn when you were teaching?
I learned that I don't want to be a teacher. I think I love kids, and I obviously am very passionate about words and language and writing and English, and so I thought it was a good idea to teach English. And I've done it in various countries, and I do enjoy it. I don't think it's a long-term job option for me. You can get quite selfish with your time when you're traveling, and if you teach and you want to commit, you kind of need to be properly committed. You teach all day and then you make lesson plans at night, and it's maybe not the thing I want to do at the moment, but teaching abroad is great. Like you're a valued member of a school and a community, and people really, really value being there. And people underestimate how amazing it is to have a fluent English speaker in a country where they don't get much fluency around them. Like it's really, really useful.
Would you be teaching Spanish back home?
No, I'm not good enough to do that.
Or
yet.
anything you'd like use your Spanish because you're fluent now here in the UK?
I would love to use it more than I do. I'm going to Spain in September to walk the Camino de Santiago, and hopefully I'll use my Spanish there and practice it more. That's the plan.
Yeah, definitely don't let it go.
No, God, I'm terrified.
So you were actually minutes ago saying about you have a conversation with some people in Cuba, the way they treat women. You wrote on your blog, just to read it, happy, safe and solo regarding traveling in India.
Yeah.
This is regarding female solo traveler. I'm really interested in this because I have many friends, girls, they're afraid to go there. How do you picture female solo traveler in this vast world?
It's a very contentious issue. A lot of bloggers I know are a lot of females, and they travel by themselves, and we face a lot of stigma because automatically people think if you're alone and a girl, you're going to get in trouble, you're not safe, you just shouldn't do it. And I think that's ridiculous. You have to have the same concerns as you would have walking down a street in South London as you would in Colombia. And obviously it's a bit more daunting because you don't know the country and you don't know the language or the people or whatever, but it's just the same. You just have to keep your wits about you, trust your gut, trust your instinct. And for solo female travelers, you get a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't get if you were with a group or with a partner, like another guy. The amount of people who flock to you, you get so many conversations. People take you under their wing. Like I've been on buses and had women just placate me all day and been like, oh no, I have to look after you, and here's some food, and I'll walk you to your next station, and come and stay with us when you're done with this place. And yeah, people are incredible, and they're really, really, they're surprised and in awe, and then they want to help massively, and I think that's a really great thing.
I think it's the same in anything, isn't it? I think if you're thinking about traveling, it's the same mentality of going anywhere. If you're confident traveling in the UK or wherever your home country is, then you're going to be as confident to a certain extent traveling in a foreign country. And I've heard of lots of male single travellers who've got into much more trouble than female ones. Women. So yeah. It's a sexist kind of attitude, I suppose, to a certain extent. But I don't think. I think you're quite right. You go and enjoy it, but be safe and careful. So I think you're a great advocate for that.
So based on your experience, you think, like most of the people think that women are vulnerable, but you think like if you get rid of the fear, it's definitely a thing to do. Solo travel, though it's not that easy, right? Yeah,
I think obviously, it's not that easy, but I mean most things have certain levels of difficulty around them, and honestly, I think if you're confident enough in yourself where you live in normal life, like I don't see the problem with going to another country and testing yourself, pushing your boundaries a little bit. And some countries are too big for some people. Like India is very chaotic and it assaults every one of your senses, and it's a big deal. But I mean, you go traveling in somewhere like somewhere in Europe, go to Prague for a weekend by yourself and just walk around and take photos and get excited by things that you wouldn't think were exciting in England because they're normal. It's easily done, I think. But when you thought to go to India in particular, your dad was one of the person that say, are you sure you're going to do it? He was a bit like scared. I think parents are always going to worry, and yeah, he was a bit concerned. But my cousin had been living in India for years, and she was fine, and he knows that I kind of don't want to not travel. So
that's his job to worry about you, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you survive, and you're here to tell the tale. Yeah. So you definitely, on your words, I can guess you kind of advise people to do it, but at least once in their life, I reckon. So you've done loads of traveling. You lived in US, because today we're talking about US, and you want to go back. You lived in San Francisco, right? Did. How was it?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. I had such an amazing time. I was I studied American literature at university, so my year abroad, my third year, was in America, and I went to San Francisco for a year, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. It's a fascinating country. I do want to go back and explore it more. I haven't had a chance yet, but.
Yeah, on your bucket list, you said you wanted to take a caravan from one coast to another.
Yeah, I wanted to drive an RV. I can't actually drive currently, so that's probably going to be quite far in the future. Might be a bit of a challenge then, mightn't it? A little, but yeah, I'd love to. I mean, living in California was really interesting, but obviously it's not it's such a normal opinion of America, and the few times we went very south into the country, it was so different and really, really interesting. So I'd love to explore it more. Once you go out of the tourist hotspots, then you're seeing the real country, aren't you? Definitely. Warts and all. Yeah. So where are you going to plan to go to next? In the world? Yep. Well, I'm going to Spain in September, and I'm walking through Spain for a month, which is going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm looking forward to it. And then maybe I'm going back to Colombia in November, I think, because I'm doing a project with some people. And apart from that, I don't have huge plans. I'm doing my master's, so I'm here until next summer in London, and then the world is my oyster. I want to go to Central America and spend a long time there. So fantastic. Spanish again. I saw your blog. It's like many people reading and commenting, and you've got a mix of traveling, learning languages, teaching. Where you see yourself in the future? I saw your bucket list. So many things, like you'd like your work to be published, and Lonely Planet, who wouldn't, from traveling industry. Do you have a particular thing or a place that you see yourself in the future? Well, the aim of my master's at the moment is writing a book. So by this time next year, hopefully I'll have a rough manuscript. I like to have my fingers in many pies, I think. I would love to write more books. I would love to write more long-form journalism about travel, like writing for National Geographic or something would be fantastic. And I do love blogging. I think it's a lovely way of getting really, really in touch with people. It's a great way to kind of get away from like official publications and stuff, and you're just right there, and on Facebook and stuff chatting to people is great. So I'd love to keep doing that. But yeah, fundamentally lots of long form journalism I think would be my aim. Seems an interesting journey. So good luck, suerte for your Camino de Santiago. I never done it. Have you thought about doing it? I think it's a bit more religious, right? It can be. I'm not religious, so I'm not doing it for a religious reason, but oh wow! And so, if people want to follow you, how do they get in touch? Right. Okay. My website is floratheexplorer.com, and you can find me on Facebook at Flora the Explorer, and Twitter and Instagram at Flora Baker. Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Flora. It's been really interesting, and we look forward to hearing your future travels soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye.